Have you ever wondered why the most powerful people in the room are often the quietest? They don't demand attention. They don't argue to prove their point. They simply exist with such profound clarity that their presence speaks louder than any words ever could. Welcome to the Enlightened Mind. Today, we invite you on a deep journey, not outward, but inward into the silent sanctuary of the self. In a world addicted to noise, validation, and reaction, we will explore the radical Buddhist path of sacred silence. This is not about muting your voice. It's about reclaiming your power. Let's begin. The power of withdrawal, when silence is your strength. Imagine a lake in the early morning, still, undisturbed, reflecting the sky without distortion. This is the essence of true power, untouched by urgency, unmoved by chaos. We live in a world that mistakes presence for pressure. The more available we are, the more valuable we think we become. But availability is not the same as authenticity. The Buddha taught, just as a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, the wise are not moved by praise or blame. Silence is not the absence of sound. It's the presence of deep listening. There is a story of a revered monk who lived near a noisy village. Every day, people came to him with questions, drama, and demands. One morning, without a word, he walked into the forest and stayed there for weeks. When he returned, a young villager asked, "Why did you leave us?" The monk replied with a soft smile, "Because I had forgotten how my own voice sounded." His withdrawal wasn't rejection, it was realignment. When we are endlessly available, we train the world to interrupt our peace. We become a tool for others instead of a temple for the self. But when we retreat, even briefly, we send a message and not just to others, but to ourselves. My inner stillness matters. Buddhist silence is not escape. It's return. It is clarity. It is self-respect in its highest form. Drained by the world. How over-availability destroys your energy. Have you ever laid down at night, utterly exhausted, yet you did nothing physically demanding all day? That is soul exhaustion. It comes from being mentally pulled in 10 directions, from answering every message, from being emotionally available to people who are not present for you. And the saddest part? We often do this to feel loved. But true love does not demand your exhaustion as proof. You are not a public service hotline. You are not a perpetual fountain of energy. You are a sacred stream, and even streams must rest. The Buddha said, "He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened." But how can you know yourself when your entire day is consumed responding to everyone else? I once met a man who said, "I didn't burn out because I did too much. I burned out because I did too much for people who didn't value it." That struck me. Mindfulness teaches that where your attention goes, your energy flows. Ask yourself, what would blossom if I stopped pouring water into dry soil? Boundaries aren't selfish. They are self-preservation. And silence? It's the space where your soul comes home. The trap of being needed. While you must let go of the savior complex. Many of us, especially the most compassionate, fall into a spiritual illusion. The belief that to matter, we must be needed. So, we fix. We listen. We rescue. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. But true compassion does not cost your wholeness. It doesn't demand you break just to keep others from bending. There's a Buddhist story about a woman who always said yes. She believed her self-worth was in her usefulness. Until one day, her body collapsed from the burden. As she lay in the hospital bed, she whispered, "Who am I if I'm not helping anyone?" And that was her awakening. You are allowed to exist without performing. You are allowed to matter without being needed. You are not their lifeboat. Detach from the illusion that you must constantly give to be loved. Release the identity of the rescuer. Buddhism teaches that attachment even to being the helper is still attachment. Be generous, yes, but don't sacrifice your soul to feel significant. Define what matters. Align your energy with your dharma. Clarity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from knowing what matters most. Ask yourself right now, what are my top 3 values? Peace, purpose, connection, creativity? Now, does your availability reflect those values, sir? Betray them. There's a story of a gardener who watered every single flower in a massive field. He was exhausted, and the garden looked dull. Until one day, he focused on just 3 areas. Within weeks, those flowers bloomed with unmatched beauty. You can't nourish everything, but you can deeply nourish what aligns with your heart. The Buddha taught, your work is to discover your world, and then with all your heart give yourself to it. Say no from fear, but from focus. Every yes is a trade. Trade wisely. Boundaries don't need explanations. You don't need a PowerPoint presentation to justify your limits. You don't need to soften your no with 100 reasons. Imagine a sacred temple. After sunset, the gates close, not because the temple is cold, but because it honors what is sacred inside. You, too, are a temple. Your time, your energy, your inner peace. Let your no be a full sentence. Let it echo with self-trust. You are not rejecting others, you are returning to yourself. Defining your own values, living with internal integrity. Do you live by values that were handed to you or ones you discovered through your own path? True spiritual maturity comes when you live not to be liked, but to be aligned. Many live reactive lives. They say yes to avoid discomfort, nod to avoid conflict, smile to avoid loneliness. But peace built on self-betrayal is not peace. Write down your 3 deepest values. Now filter every demand, every relationship, every request through them. If it doesn't align, it doesn't belong. It's not arrogance, it's self-respect. Detach from validation. You are not here to perform. We are taught to seek applause, to be liked, followed, praised. But Buddhism reminds us, praise and blame, gain and loss, these are fleeting winds. Don't build your worth on shifting sands. The monk on the mountaintop, unseen by the world, is not unloved. He is whole, because he sees himself. So the question is, do you? If no one clapped, would you still dance? If no one thanked you, would you still give? When validation is no longer your currency, peace becomes your wealth. Stop rescuing. Start releasing. Loving someone doesn't mean saving them. You don't have to carry others across rivers. They were meant to swim. There is a Buddhist parable of a man who built a raft to cross a river, but once he crossed, he kept carrying it on land. The Buddha asked him, "Why do you carry what you no longer need?" Let go. Release the urge to fix. Trust that others will find their path. True compassion is not control. It is trust. Digital silence. The lost art of being unreachable. Your phone is not evil, but your relationship with it might be. Digital noise is modern suffering disguised as connection. The more you scroll, the less you reflect. Start small. 1 hour each morning without your phone. Then try a full evening. In that sacred silence, you'll hear something rare yourself. Silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. Stillness over access. Reclaiming your inner calm. Urgency is not a virtue. It's often just anxiety in disguise. The still pond reflects truth. The stirred one distorts it. In meditation, we don't chase thoughts. We let them pass. Likewise, in life, we must stop chasing urgency. Stillness is a revolution, a rebellion against reactive living. The Buddha said, meditate, live purely, be quiet, do your work with mastery. Let this be your mantra. Release the need to be understood. You are not a thesis that needs defending. The ocean doesn't explain its waves. The moon doesn't justify its glow. You are allowed to be misunderstood. There is peace in letting go of the need to be explained. Walk your path. Let others catch up or not. Your peace matters more than their understanding. Embrace sacred solitude. Solitude isn't loneliness. It is the homecoming of the soul. The lotus grows in the mud, alone, untouched by the dirt. So too, your spirit blossoms in stillness. When was the last time you sat with yourself? Not to fix, not to scroll, but to be. In that silence, you'll find healing, insight, and peace that no noise can replace. The Buddha didn't shout. He sat, and the world leaned in. In a world that screams, be the one who whispers. In a life of constant demands, choose deliberate retreat. Withdraw to realign. Say no to protect your yes. Detach to return. Be silent not out of fear, but out of power. Because when you stop being endlessly available to others, you become fully available to yourself. And in that space, you will resonate louder, but clearer. Not busier, but brighter. Not for everyone, but for everything that truly matters. Thank you for walking this path with us. If this video brought you clarity, peace, or truth, like, comment, and subscribe to the Enlightened Mind. Let's grow not in noise, but in wisdom. Let's rise quietly, together.